welcome back to the Synergy Sanctum. My name is Justin. Thank you so much for stopping by. Here at the Synergy Sanctum, we specialize in all things related to Magic the Gathering, with a specific focus on deck building. So I aim to show you very quick deck text that'll show you all of the cards in the deck and how they work together to ultimately achieve the goals of that deck. If you're not already, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate that. And we also have a sister channel now, so head on over to Commander Coliseum and check out their content as well. And for today's deck tech, we have Archelos Lagoon Mystic, the turtle. He's in the house. This is an EDH activated ability focused deck. I like to call it my tappity tap deck. Lots of tappers in here, and they're all doing crazy things. And then you get to untap them because blue runs a ton of activated abilities that untap other creatures or other permanents. So this started as initially a goal of not wanting to build stacks, because as you can see, Archelos kind of invites that. If he's hiding in his shell, then everybody's coming in tapped, which isn't fun for everyone. I rarely even play Archelos. The deck is more focused on doing a bunch of tappity tap stuff and then untapping all of that and continuing to do it and kind of controlling the board. So TCG market value of this deck is $427 to $562. We are running 34 lands, with only 10 of those being basic and 24 of those being non-basic. So I won't put a CEDH label on this, but I will say it is consistently competitive, and it is consistently kind of not seen as a threat until it's too late. So nobody really understands what you're trying to do, and then all of a sudden you're killing all of their creatures, or you're taking all of their creatures, or you're going infinite with infinite mana and pouring that into something. So there is a lot of heat in this deck, and we're going to go over it here right now. So the untapping or creatures that are able to target other things are as follows. So the untappers, like single targeted untap ones, are Vizier of Tumbling Sands, Tideforce Elemental, Puppeteer's another good one, as well as Eorith of the Healing House. The infinite mana pieces here that come into play later are Freed from the Real and Pemin's Aura. So for a single blue, you can untap the enchanted creature. Seedborn Muse lets you do this at everybody else's untap step. Seeker of Skybreak, another targeted one. And then Intruder Alarm and Thornbite Staff are kind of combo pieces, but we're not building around these. They're just kind of in there, and it doesn't go infinite, but a lot of the times it will go a long way to kind of ticking your opponents off and controlling their board states. More untapping and targeting here with Kiora's Follower, Forensic Researcher, Fate Stitcher, Apheto Alchemist, Thousand Year Elixir, Manamu School at Water's Edge, and Kelpie Guide. So all of these are able to target something, whether it's on your board state or another person's board state, and then be able to untap or tap them, depending on the card. And then targeting payoffs. So Seraph and Oak Street Innkeeper work really well in this deck because they are protecting each other and they are protecting your entire board. So for Oak Street Innkeeper, if you end your turn and everything's tapped, then they technically have hexproof. And then Seraph says other untapped creatures you control have hexproof. So regardless of where your board state is at any given time, if both of these are out, then they are technically protecting each other and they are protecting the rest of your board state. So now let's talk about the benefits here of targeting things and untapping. So if you target an opponent's creature with either Willbreaker or Hirobi out, with one of those untap or tap guys, then that creature's either going to become yours until Willbreaker's gone, or it's going to die if Hirobi's out. And then King Makar is very similar, but you have to target King Makar. So when King Makar becomes untapped, then you get to exile something and deal with it, and you get mana from doing this. So really kind of broken card here with this inspired mechanic. There used to be a lot more of the cards with inspired in here, and they were kind of cut because King Makar is the best. All right, and then we're looking at our mana tappers, and not necessarily just tapping for mana the way that Bloom Tender and Birds of Paradise do, but things like untapping lands with Argothian Elder and Leyweaver, Sky Shroud Ranger, Walking Atlas, and Sakura Tribe Scout all put a land from your hand into play. Deathrite Shaman's got a bunch of activated abilities depending on the situation. Cryptolith Rite turns everything into tappers, right? So everything can tap for mana, and then you can do the untapping if you have those out. And then a Rixmith Rixmethys is one of the infinite mana pieces. So if a Rixmethys is put on the field and is a creature, or actually I think even if it's a land, but I think the enchantments need it for it to be a creature. So if a Rixmethys is out and he's a creature, and you've got Pemin's Aura freed from the wheel on him, then you're getting infinite green mana from that. And with Bloom Tender, if you have 3 color identities out, so black, green, and blue, then technically you're only burning the blue on Bloom Tender to do the untapping, and then you're netting the black and green going infinite as well. So other good tappers that we have in the deck as well, very similar to Willbreaker, we've got Beguiler of Wills, but this is targeted, so it can only take 1 creature at a time. Draw with Archivist and Arcanist, so just picture for every single thing on the board here, you're untapping these and getting multiple triggers off of it. Avatar of Woe and Royal Assassin can kill creatures. Marvin and Experiment Kraj can take the abilities of everything else that has an activated ability. Elvish Piper is able to put a creature from your hand into play for a green. Empress Galena is able to take a creature, most likely other commanders. And then Prodigal Sorcerer is dealing the 1 damage if we need to do damage instead of just everything else that we're discussing. In addition, there's tons of good stuff in the deck to kind of support this overall strategy. There is a pretty significant ramp package here with Soul Ring, Chromatic Lantern, Cultivate, and Harvest Season. Harvest Season in particular is a great call out because you are benefiting off of all of those tapped creatures. So if you're going to go and do all of your tap shenanigans and then you're going to ultimately have, like, let's say 3, 4, even 5 tapped creatures, Harvest Season's letting you get that many basics out of your deck onto the battlefield. We have tutors with Worldly Tutor and Mystical Tutor to find an answer if you need one. Assassin's Trophy for targeted removal, and then lots of counterspells, an offer you can't refuse, Swan Song, Counterspell itself, and Arcane Denial, and then a board wipe with Toxic Deluge. Additional board wipes here with more good stuff. Cyclonic Rift and Gaze of Granite also can deal with the board state. A couple of win cons for that infinite mana sink with Villainous Wealth and Exsanguate. So Exsanguate's going to take X amount of life from everybody, and then you're going to gain life. So if you have any of those infinite mana states that we discussed earlier, you're going to ultimately win the game. And then Villainous Wealth is just fun to sink mana into because you're going to take stuff off of your opponent's decks and then ultimately play those without paying the mana costs. We've got additional targeted removal with Beast Within, some protection with Heroic Intervention, Propaganda, and Crawl Space, additional draw with Brainstorm and Phyrexian Arena, and then Concordant Crossroads here is giving everything haste, but you're going to benefit from that way more because then you don't have to wait a turn cycle in order to start tapping your creatures. And then finally, this deck is kind of turtley, for lack of a better word. It is aiming to kind of delay the game until you can get those combo pieces out. So if we get late in the game and there's been a ton of board wipes and answers being done, Rise of the Dark Realms is an additional win con in this deck to get all of those creatures onto the battlefield under your control. And with that, our show has come to an end. Thank you so much for watching our video. And if you enjoyed that video, feel free to share it out with any friends who might find value in it as well. Thank you so much for stopping by. We hope to see you again soon. Have a good one.